Friday.
Yes, we're back with another video.
TGIF.
Today, oh yeah, today we're going to be talking about the detective Rick Zerkel in our child abuse case. We have Hannah back up here, and we're just going to get on into it. You ready, Crystal?
Yep.
All right.
So these are the actual transcripts again that we're reading. And
Yeah.
before we get started, I want to start with so that everybody can be clear on this is that to clarify, Mr. Zerko was not present at our home that day of April 6, 1999. His own testimony will tell you that he stated he sent a team of investigators to the home to collect information, and being somewhere and receiving information is two different things. So we're going to roll on into his testimony concerning out of his own mouth how he stated that he wasn't up at the house when this situation first happened. And we know he wasn't because we was present. And so we're going to get off into it right now. So he's being called to the stand. Richard Zerko, called as a witness by and on behalf of the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. So Ms. Baldwin says to Mr. Zerko, "Good morning, sir." And he says, "Good morning. What do you do for a living?" Ms. Baldwin asked him. And Mr. Zerko says, "I'm a sheriff's sergeant employed by Riverside County Sheriff's Department." "And how long have you been a sergeant with Riverside County Sheriff's Department?" He states, "A little over 6 years." "And prior to becoming a sergeant, what other assignments did you hold with the Sheriff's Department?" He states, "Upon being hired and graduated from the academy, I was assigned to the Robert Presley Detention Center for a little over 4 years as a deputy." Now, this detention center is the same detention center where Musa was housed at when
Okay.
he was arrested in 1999. And it's a jail that he spent practically like 7-8 years in it, because he was transferred from Robert Presley Detention Center to Temecula's detention center.
I think he set the record for longest stay during a
Mhm.
trial. Matter of fact, he
Mhm.
was there for so long.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. He said upon being hired, he graduated from the academy, and he was assigned to the Robert Presley Detention Center for a little over 4 years as deputy. From there, I went to the Lake Elsinore station as a deputy and worked patrol. I was assigned there for about 2 years as a deputy to the Investigations Bureau, working on crimes against persons such as homicide and severely sexual assault victims, things of that nature. After about 2 years in that assignment, I was promoted to the rank of investigator, and I was transferred to the Hemet Station, where I worked for almost 2.5 years. Then I was assigned to the Sheriff's Central Homicide Unit as an investigator, and from the homicide unit, I was promoted to rank of sergeant. I was transferred to the Southwest Station, where I supervised patrol shifts. From there, I went on to the San Jacinto Station, where I was the administration sergeant, basically running a patrol station. And currently, I'm assigned as a sheriff sergeant running a task force called SAFE. That's SAFE, Task Force, which stands for the Sexual Assault Enforcement Team. So we're going to stop right there, because there was a lot mentioned from Laura, not in these transcripts ever. It was a lot mentioned from Laura that she was sexually assaulted. And I'm just looking at that if he was a sheriff that ran a task force, which stands for Sexually Assaulted Victims Team, then why wasn't he there that day assisting individuals
And,
that happened to? Because it didn't happen to Laura.
mhm.
So why was he?
And here's the thing: if he's in that assault, that team, and he is part of investigating sexual assaults, whatever, how come he wasn't able to tell that she wasn't assaulted? You know what I'm saying? If you know someone is being that they were assaulted because that's your job, you should be able to tell that she wasn't, that she was lying
Right,
as
right,
well.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's transference. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it was a transference situation that happened between him and her. So that
Mm,
threw all his professional things out the window because he was probably smitten with her because
mhm,
there's something that doesn't wash in here. And we'll even see the judge even, complain and confront him about situations about with her. And you
mm,
said okay, you said Lake Elsinore, right? And because
he's been all pretty much what I just read. I mean, he's been all through Riverside. He's been to
right,
Riverside Detention Center. He was at Temecula's Detention Center. He was at San Jacinte's uh, Detention Center and also Lake Elsinore.
right. And so, okay, wasn't he out? I know he was connected with Desert Hot Springs some kind of way. I guess what
I'm
is it?
not for sure,
There's the
but
Hemet,
it
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm
Or
not
maybe
for sure.
it might have been Lake Elsinore where he been out to the house or something like that in Lake Elsinore.
Right.
So
Okay. So So in some, so she asked him, so in some, how long have you been a sworn peace officer in California? He says 18 years. What was your assignment on April 6th of 99? He said, I was an investigator at the Hemet station. That's Riverside County right there as well. On that date, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, did you respond to 49290 Sweet States Lane in the unincorporated area of Awanga? He states, yes, I did. Is that in Riverside County? He says, yes, ma'am. Can you determine for us briefly the area known as Awanga? He says, yes. Awanga is a very rural, sparely populated residential area, large properties, usually of decent estates, amount of acreage, horse properties, things of that nature. And when you arrived at the Sweepstakes Lane address, could you tell us approximately how much land that resided that the home sat on? He said at least an acre and a half. So the nearest neighbor would have been an acre and a half away. He said several hundreds of yards away. Okay, can you describe for us the residence that you saw when you arrived at 4929 Sweepstakes Lane? He says, yes. It was a large single family residence. The exterior was covered with tan cocoon. It had brown wood trim. The residence itself consisted of 3 bedrooms, a master bedroom, and 2 smaller bedrooms. 2 bedrooms, excuse me, he said the residence itself consisted of 4 bedrooms, a master bedroom, and 2 smaller bedrooms, two bathrooms, and also a large master bathroom in the master bedroom. There was an attached 3-car garage as well. And did you conduct an investigation of the home at Sweetstains Lane? He says, yes, ma'am, I did. Did you notice anything unusual about the doors in the home? He says specific. She says specifically, let's talk about the sliding glass door, which led from the interior of the residence to the outside. He says yes. She said, what was that? He said, it was a typical sliding glass door. However, it was secured with a heavy chain and a padlock. And where was this chain at? It was hanging on the door. And was the door locked? No, it was not. I'm going to show you a photograph, detective. Did you take photographs when you were at the scene? I instructed them.
mm-hmm.
I instructed them to be taken. So here we go. You have
Mm-hmm.
him saying that he was at that home.
right,
In interviews on TV, which we're going to get to. but
Hmm.
he's testifying that he instructed them to take pictures.
And I was outside parked in front of the front door.
Hmm.
Okay, we just gonna put that in there for everybody.
Okay, so I instructed them to take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And you seen have you seen these photographs on previous occasions? Yes. And I'm going to show you what has been marked as People's Exhibit 1 and ask if you recognize this is like so contradicting. How could you get on the stand and start off as this so-called honest detective of law enforcement and get up there and say that you was at a home? Because the
Hmm.
way he described it as she was speaking, he was answering yes to everything
Yeah.
And
and
where are these
leading.
photographs? Where are these photographs coming from?
We're gonna get into that. We're
Yeah.
gonna get
Yeah.
into that.
That's gonna be very
Spoiler alert!
interesting.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah. So she says, Your Honor,
Ooh,
would you like me
everything.
to approach the witness or put it on the Elmo? He says, Why don't you put it on the Elmo? She says, Okay, you can approach if you need to. And she says, Okay. So the judge said, But if you feel you can't just go right to the Elmo, that's fine. She says, Thank you. She asked him, Is this the slide glass door that you referred to just previously? He says, Yes, ma'am. She says, Okay, and I know this photograph is a little bit dark, but from where you're sitting, can you see the chain that you just described? He says, Yes, I can see it, but it's kind of difficult to see it. But I see it hanging on the door. But I believe it's hanging from the center of the photograph from where the door handle is. I believe it's right there. She says, Okay. And is that how it looked when you arrived at the residence on April 6th of 99? He says, Yes.
Mm.
So Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has used a laser and pointed to the middle of the doors and also made a record correct and show juries that Mr. Rick Zerkel was not present at the home during the the first investigation of arresting Mr. Muhammad. The judge said the judge says in an up and down motion, he used a laser to point at the picture vertically, indicating where the chain was. And the record will reflect that Mr. Richard Zerkel was not present at the home, but he did send a team of task officers there.
Okay, we got that down pat. He wasn't up there at the home, but he sent his team up there to
Mm-hmm.
collect evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's like, that's crazy because that's like the OJ trial was crazy because they had the examiner, forensic examiner for LA County said he was up there taking samples when in fact he wasn't up there. He had a trainee up there taking samples that was contaminated. But anyway, I'm just seeing the correlation between
Yeah,
you're
between
there,
yeah,
but yeah, you're supposed to be the head person, but you're not even. You said you were there. You
but you wasn't
testified.
there.
But this
Yeah,
is worse than him because this dude went on TV and said
yeah,
this stuff.
but
And
it's
not one time, he said it several times.
his testimony is something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah.
And he
Hmm.
just
Yep.
got called. He just got called. Matter of fact, he got called out by the defense attorney on this,
Yeah.
on him not being there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just letting I just want to remind everybody: pay attention to these facts, and you'll see everything that all the stuff is debunked compared to where he was on the the TV shows compared to when he was on trial. It will be totally debunked. He's going to debunk his own self.
Yeah.
Right. So he says, Yes, ma'am. She said, Did you notice anything unusual about those doors? He said, Yes. What was that? They were all either secured with a heavy chain. And were all the doors secured with the heavy chain? No, they was not. I only saw one padlock hanging on the door. Or they were they were they were locked from the inside with a regular lock that you lock the door with. And some of the doors either were nailed shut or had been nailed shut. Okay, I will say I'm not for sure about that. I don't recall any doors being nailed shut. Okay, I will ask you another question here. Did that include the front door of the residence? There was a chain hanging on the front door knob at the front door when I arrived. See, he keeps saying he arrived at the house and he didn't,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
You see how he switched up? He said it
How
was
how are
nails.
you gonna
Hold.
send a task
Mm-hmm.
force and
Mm-hmm.
make yourself present and you're not present?
But hold on, check it. You see how he said that the door was nailed shut, then went back said it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. But we're gonna get it. That's on the clip too. He was talking about that.
Yep. Okay, I will ask you another question here. Did that include the front door of the residence? There was a chain hanging there at the front door when I arrived. It was not secured. Okay, did you see the chain and padlock? Yes, I did. I saw it sitting there hanging on a door. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as People's Exhibit 26 for the record. I'm going to ask you if this appears to be the same chain and padlock that you saw on the door. Yes, ma'am. Now, you had told us that you had also seen a chain and lock on the sliding glass door, and I believe we just saw a photograph of that as well. Is that correct? Yes.
Mm.
So, in other words, the doors were not padded, lock, and chain lock when you got there. No, ma'am, they wasn't. Okay. Showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 25. Does this appear to be that same chain that we looked at with the padlock? Yes. Do you recall whether there was a chain on the master bedroom door? I believe there was one in the slide door in that room. What do you mean you believe that there was one? Well, I'm just guessing that there was one. Okay, so we're not going to guess. I need you to tell me if there was one. Okay, and showing you that has been marked previously as Exhibit 27. Does this appear to be the chain padlock on the master bedroom? I'm not for sure, ma'am. You told us briefly that the three-car garage had been partitioned. Is that correct? I mentioned that there was a three-car garage, but there was a partition present. Yes. Can you describe for us how the three-car garage was set up when you arrived on April 6th of 99? Yes, ma'am. The garage was divided into a two-car portion and a single car portion. Both of those portions of the garage had rolled up garage doors that are pretty standard on most homes nowadays. Down the center, those two sections between the two-car garage and the one-car garage was a wall that had been built.
Mm.
I'm assuming the interior of that wall was wood studs, but it had been drywalled, and there was also a door present to go from the two-car garage to the other side of the next garage. And you had said that there was a roll-up garage door. Is that correct? Um, yes, that's correct. Going to the driveway area. Okay, and did you notice anything unusual about that particular door? Yes, ma'am. What was that door? There was a tiny little padlock hanging on the bar of the door. And was this locked on the door? No, it was not. I'm going to show you what has been marked previously as Exhibit 2 and ask if you recognize this. Yes, ma'am, I'm recognizing it. Can you tell us what's depicted in the photograph? Yes. Using the laser pointing in this area, that is the padlock that secured the door from being open from the inside. Okay. The judge said the record should reflect that the sergeant has used a laser again to circle the padlock that's in the center of the photograph, but it does not appear that this lock is actually locked, like there's a lock hanging on the door. Thank you, Your Honor. And is that how it happened on April 6th of 99 when you arrived? Yes, ma'am. And in the lock position? No, it was not in the lock position. It was just hanging there. So Mr. Morales steps in. He said, Counsel, what was that exhibit number? And she states that the exhibit number is 25B. He says, thank you. You indicated that within the partition inside the garage, there was a lot of door that led from the two car garage to one car portion. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. and there was a door inside within that partition, correct? Correct. I'm going to show you a photo of what's been marked previously as People's Exhibit 3 and ask if you recognize this indicating what you saw. Yes, ma'am, I'm recognizing it. Can you tell us what's depicted in that photo? This is a door that separates the two portions of the garage. And do you notice anything unusual about this particular door? Yes, ma'am, I do. What was that? Using the laser again, there is a nail, but I'm not for sure if that is a nail hole that's present. That's why I'm circling the laser above it. It appears to be a hole there, but actually not a nail there. And was this door nailed shut? I don't recall it being nailed shut at all. And again, the record should reflect that the sergeant, in a circular motion, the judge says, was pointing out the nail hole that appears to be a nail hole, but is not for sure that if it's a nail hole.
Mm.
Mm.
And so that's the same nail hole that he said stuff was nailed shut. But now it's not even sure if it's even nailed.
He said on the Dr. Phil show when he arrived that Laura was completely nailed shut in the garage. That's what he said.
And
we're gonna get to a lot of those clips too.
You gonna see?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that how it looked when you arrived April 6th of 99? Yes, ma'am. Now, within the 1 car and the 2 car portions, let's start with the 2 car portion of the garage. Can you describe how that was laid out? It was laid out there. It was laid out like this. There was a portion of the carpet on the floor. Obviously, the interior wall that we have been speaking about, and this was present. There was also a mattress on the floor and a roller that connects to the mattress on the floor that I can recall. There was spare furnishing. There was a sheet or a piece of material that was used to kind of cover the garage door, and there were various personal items for people that were living in that portion of the garage. And can you describe for us briefly the 1 car portion of the garage? It was very similar to the 2 portion. It was very similar to the 2 portion mattress on the floor. A piece of the mattress was thrown to the side. The entire walls were painted and the floors were covered in carpet. If I can recall, there was also another piece of cloth covering the garage door on the side from the view. Personal items was present for the people that were living in that portion of the garage. On the 1 car portion of the garage, was there another small door that led to the exterior of the home? Yes, ma'am. And did you notice anything unusual about that particular door? Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us what that was? That door had been nailed shut from the outside using boards to secure the door so that no one could open that door. And was this a bedroom? Yes, it appeared to be a bedroom, but the door had been nailed shut from the other side, but there was another door on the other side that leaded out to outside. And when you were in the garage area of the residence, did you notice whether there was any access to running water for anyone that was staying in the garage? Not that I knew of. Did you notice whether there had been any restroom facilities installed on the inside of the garage? There were no restroom facilities. Now, why would there be a restroom installed when she was coming in the house?
Exactly.
Both of them. And they wasn't garage. They keep using the magic word garage like they did in garages when they was rooms.
Yeah,
they was
converted
turned into rooms.
Yeah.
I noticed that throughout this, the word garage is used more than anything in here. So it's like they all got together and they set it up on what words to use to grip the jury, to get the jury and to grip the judge and everybody in the case. Keep saying garage, 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 garage. There was not. Did you notice whether there had been any restroom facilities installed on the inside of the garage? There was no restroom facility. Was there central heat available to anyone inside of that garage portion? There was heaters present on both sides. On the two car garage side, there was about 3 to 4 heaters. On the other side, in the other bedroom, there was several heaters present, but it was for the main portion of the residence. It did not simplify heat to the garage, but there was heat present in the garage. Was there any access to your recollection to telephones in the garage? There was none that I knew of, but I did notice that both the ladies had cell phones. And I'm going to show you a photograph that has been previously marked as People Exhibit 4 and ask if you recognize this, sir. Yes, I recognize that. And can you tell us what's depicted in that photo? There are bottles of urine.
Oh.
You hear that, Rick?
Yeah, I hear it.
There are bottles of urine, but guess what?
But here's the thing, right quick.
Mm-hmm.
They had cell phones.
But if you
I'm
go
like,
back, if
like,
you go
yo.
back and watch the opening of the trial, the judge said that they was throwing that out because he said that there was bottles of urine, right? The judge said he was throwing it out because he said we don't know what that was in those bottles.
Yeah, he asked, did he test it?
Did you test it? He said no. But if you look at the clips that you're going to show, he told Dr. Phil there was half-gallon buckets of urine. But in his testimony, he's saying there was bottles of urine.
But but the judge threw that out though. Yeah.
And he conjectured all the way through that. The judge saw that, like, how do you know? Did you test it? Oh no, it wasn't tested. So how do you know what was in there? Because what did he say? She told me it was?
Yeah, yep.
You're gonna see, we're gonna go further along. You'll see.
Yeah.
He said those are bottles of urine. And was it urine? I'm not for sure if it was urine. Your Honor, now Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, subject to the foundational objection. And so the judge sustained. He says, okay, did someone in the residence tell you that these were bottles of urine? And then Mr. Morales says, objection, hearsay. And the judge says, sustained. So she says, I'm going to admonish the jury actually to disregard the sergeant's answer that those were bottles of urine. The jury is to disregard that answer entirely because we don't know if that was really urine in those bottles. And then you have to ask yourself and ask the detective, were these samples ever examined? How do we know these were, how do we know this was human composition? I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 5 and see if you recognize this photo. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us what's depicted in that photo? There is cups, bottles of water on a portion of the desk, and the bags on the floor, as I recall, contain soiled diapers. Okay, so if you got soiled diapers in the bag, how did you get urine in bottles?
Exactly.
You had 2 children that was in diapers. And we know you didn't urinate in no bottle because you're a female.
Unless she's a good shot. I'm just saying. Hey, you never know. Hey, America's Got Talent.
Mr. Morales says, objection, Your Honor. I'll withdraw the objection. The judge said, okay. Did you specifically see that these bags on the floor contain soiled diapers? He says, yes. Showing you now Exhibit 6. I want to ask if you recognize this. He says, yes, I do. Can you tell us what this photo depicts? This is a portion of the garage. You can blank. It shows the water heater and the central heating unit for the interior of the residence, a hot plate, a bowl that contains water on the table, and a large double-door refrigerator.
Hold it. A refrigerator? Dr. Field, I didn't have a refrigerator.
Exactly. You hear that, Rick?
Yeah,
I,
A
yeah.
I
large
remember
double door
those.
refrigerator. And she sat up there blatantly on the Dr. Phil show. Everybody said she had a refrigerator. And Dr. Phil asked every last one of us, was it true? Everybody said it was true. And she threw her hands up, talking about, I did not have a refrigerator, Dr. Phil.
And her buddy
But
right there,
your boy
your
is
boy.
testifying in here that you did have a
But
refrigerator.
but 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 at the same time, we play those clips. He said people were starving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and watch this. What was in that refrigerator?
You'll
Everything.
see.
Yeah.
And is this how it looked on April 6th of 99? Yes, ma'am. And do you know from your recollection if this is in the car garage of the portion? Yes, it is. That would be the car garage portion that Laura stayed in. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, showing you what has been previously marked as People's Exhibit 7. Sir, if you can identify this for us as well. Yes. That is another photo of the interior of the two-car portion of the garage. It's more of a close-up photo that shows the hot plate, the heater, or excuse me, the water heater for the residents, the bowl containing water, the desk, and a very small portion of the refrigerator, the freezer side, I believe, loaded with frozen goods. Thank you. Showing you now what has been marked as exhibits 8. If you recognize this photo, please let me know. Can you identify this? Yes, ma'am, I can recognize that. Can you tell us what's depicted in the photo? Yes, this is a
Hmm.
photo that was taken in a two car garage. This is the mattress. I previously talked about that was
Hmm.
present on the floor near the ruler that you can see. It's kind of a yellowish green color on the mattress, quarter size. Is that what appears? It appears to be a blood stain.
A
Now look,
quarter size.
a quarter size,
Yeah.
okay? He said yellowish, green.
So
He
it's not a
said
coaster
that
size.
that
It's a
appears,
quarter size. This is a
yeah,
coaster. So we're down to this
Yeah.
side,
yeah, that
and it's
appears.
and the
Look,
colors
he
yellow and
doesn't
green.
he doesn't know if it's blood. He said that appears to be blood because she told him it was blood.
Mhm.
Okay?
Who got
Yeah.
green? Who got green blood? Martians.
Only the gremlins do.
Yeah, because I'm just there. Yeah.
Only the gremlins. Right, Rick?
Oh yeah.
What
Only
about
the
what
gremlins.
about the Goonies? Because the
Nah,
Goonies.
the, good-
We going okay.
the
Okay. And he says near the ruler that you can see is kind of a yellowish green color on the mattress. A quarter size is what appears to be a blood stain. So Ms. Morales says, Your Honor, objection foundation. The judge says sustained. The jury is to disregard that because it was not tested and we don't know if that's blood on the mattress. So Mr. Morales says motion to strike that, and the judge says granted. And I did admonish the jury to disregard Mr. Zerkel testifying about the greenish yellowish stain possibly being blood.
Mm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you see anyone here today in the courtroom who was present at Sweet Stage Lane address when you arrived there on April 6th of 99? Yes, ma'am. Can you please tell us where that person is sitting and article of clothing that they're wearing for the record? Yes, the gentleman seated to the court's far right, wearing the light blue shirt and a yellow tie and glasses. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant. Yes. And did the defendant identify himself to you on April 6th of 99? And he answers yes. How did he identify himself? He said that he was Mansa Musa Muhammad. During your investigation at the scene, did you determine how many persons were living in the house? Yes, I did. Can you tell us how many people there were? I know that there were at least 12 children in all total, I think. Okay, but how many people were total in the house? About 19. Now, in news articles, they saying
Mhm.
our father had
That
19 kids.
19 kids. Yep.
He didn't have 19 children. There was a total of 19 people that lived in the house, but there was 12 children living in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And were there any other
Hold on,
adults?
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. 12 children. So that was 11 of y'all, and so it
Uh,
could have been
uh,
more.
Miriam.
Marion, so that made it 12.
But
So
he
the,
didn't know how many people was in the house. He didn't
House,
live
yeah.
there.
Okay.
so that
He's
it had to
but
be four
had to be.
adults and
Mhm.
15 children to be
16
19.
people.
What's that?
16 people total that lived in the
I
house.
think,
That's
yeah.
what it had to be.
Mhm.
Hmm. Because the count is off. But okay, so let's just count this out for everybody out there. So how many children were in there? How many of your siblings was in there?
11.
11 of
Okay,
y'all, right?
okay,
So
and then
then with Taz, that make it 12. Then with Marion, to make it 13, right?
Hmm.
So
and
her son wasn't there. That's why I
no,
No,
did
want to get. Okay.
did Adrian have any kids there?
just one.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so what's that is? You said that was 12 of you guys. How many of you guys?
11.
11 you guys.
11. Taz and Miriam, 12, 13, 14, 56, 17. That's 18. They're off.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and were there any other adults living in the residence that you know of? No, ma'am. Who else was living there besides the defendant and his three wives and several children? And did you learn of the living arrangements amongst these people within the residence? Yes. Can you tell us what that was? Yes, the defendant and his legal wife and all of their biological children lived in the home interior portion of the house residence, and in the two-car portion of the garage, his second wife lived with her two children from previous relationships. And in the one port, the defendant's third wife and her one child were living in the one-car portion of the garage. Just roughly, can you tell us what the age range of the children that were living in the home inside the area? The ages range from infancy into young adulthood, with the oldest child being 22 years old. But then he said on the Dr. Phil show he had no way of telling how old none of us was,
Yeah.
Hmm.
huh? But he's
Yep.
testifying to something different right
Yeah,
here.
trial. Yeah.
He said he didn't know. He didn't know because they looked like little kids. So he didn't know. But now he's testifying
Yeah,
as
but
to infancy
right.
and the oldest child being in her 20s.
And this is before the Dr. Field show, the testing
Way
was trial,
before.
way before that. So he knew
Way before.
came up with
During
something
your
different. So he
inspection of the during your inspection of the vehicle of the residence at Sweet Stage Lane, did you recover any weapons? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to show you what has been previously marked as People's Exhibit 22 and ask if you recognize this. Yes, I do. Can you tell us what it is? It's a machete. And where did you find this? It was located in the defendant's bedroom, in his closet, in the master bedroom. Also showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 24. Do you recognize this? Yes, I do. Can you tell us what it is? It's a boat oar that is cracked on the side. And where was this found? It was located in the living room of the residence. I'm going to show you now some objects. All People's Exhibit 23. I believe it's A through E. And ask if you recognize these. First, we have People's 23A. Do you recognize this? He says yes. Can you tell us what it is? It's a knife that was recovered from the master bedroom. Showing you what has been previously marked as People's Exhibit 23B, indicating for the record. Do you recognize that? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? That's another knife that was collected from the master's bedroom, showing you what has been marked as People's Exhibit 23C. Do you recognize this? Yes. Also, that's also a knife that is recovered from the master bedroom, showing you what has been marked as Exhibits 23D. Do you recognize that? Yes. Can you tell us what this is? Yes, it's another knife that was recovered from the bedroom. And finally, showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 23E. Do you understand what this is? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? Again, it's another knife collected from the bedroom. And in addition to the items that you just identified for us, I will ask if you have seen this before, if you also recognize what has been previously marked as People Exhibit 18. Yes, I recognize that. Can you tell us what it is. That is a semi-automatic handgun
Mm.
that was recovered from the master bedroom. A couple more items showing you what has been marked as Exhibit 19. For the record, do you recognize this? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? It's a box of ammunition that's of the same caliber and type and would be used for the handgun. It was also recovered from the master bedroom. And showing you what have been marked as People's Exhibit 20A is actually in two. Here's Exhibit 20A and Exhibit 20B. Do you recognize this? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? It's basically a black leather pouch that was collected from the master bedroom. And People's Exhibit 20B, do you recognize that? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? Yes, it's also a box of ammunition of the same caliber and type that would be used for the semi automatic handgun, also collected from the master bedroom. And what you collected, this piece of evidence, was it located within the black case that you identified as being a black case, in Exhibits A? Yes, ma'am. Detective Zerkel, I'm going to also ask you if you recognize what has been marked previously as People's 21A. Yes, I recognize it. Can you tell us what it is? Yes. It is a magazine containing live ammunition for the semi automatic handgun that we previously saw. What that we previously saw that was also collected from the master bedroom. And did it contain bullets as it does now when you saw it on April 6th? No, ma'am. Showing you also what had been identified as or marked previously as Exhibits 21B. I'll ask if you recognize this. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us what it is? That's another magazine with live ammunition for the semi automatic handgun that was also collected from the master bedroom. Finally, I'm going to ask you just a few more questions. What has been previously marked as Exhibit 28A? I will ask you if you recognize this. Yes. Can you tell us what it is? It's a padlock. And do you recall where this padlock was found? If I remember correctly, it came from the garage. So, how did you find a padlock in the master bedroom? And if you
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly, it came from the garage?
Take a guess. Your guess is good as mine. I think it
And
came from there. It could have came from the bedroom where you found it. But anyway, go ahead.
And is that the one that we saw in the photograph, which you have already identified? I believe it is People's Exhibit 2 again, showing that for the record. Yes, ma'am. Sergeant, I'm showing you now what has been marked as People's 28B, and I'll ask you if you recognize that. Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us what it is? It's another padlock. Do you recognize where this particular one was found? I believe that one was found in the other portion of the garage, I believe, but I'm not for sure. Why he can't answer a yes or no like they tell everybody else?
Well,
I
I
know, right?
believe.
So Mr.
But
Morales
you
steps
believe, but do you know?
Yeah. So Mr. Morales steps in and asks the judge if that can be stricken, and the judge says to strike that and for the jury to disregard that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. Can you tell us what it is? It's a padlock. Do you recall where this one was found? No.
Isn't that the same gun that they was all shooting on New Year's and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Laura was shooting it too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was it collected at Sweet Stains Lane address? Yes. And finally, what has been marked as People's Exhibit 28D? Do you recognize this? I recognize it. And can you tell us what it is? It's another padlock of a different variety. And do you know where this was recovered from within the residence? I know it came from the residence. I don't recall specifically where that one was located. Okay. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Wow.
Be
So at
reminded
first
we
he
got a list. Be
first he
reminded
knew where
that
they
we
came from.
asked,
Then he
we got a
believed where they came from, and
Yeah,
then
but
he
be
didn't even
reminded
know
this guy got a tendency to exaggerate.
it. Yeah,
And so things that they said was in certain locations of the house, it wasn't.
no,
It wasn't. That's why they removed him out of the house and had all of us bambled up in some other room, because while they was collecting evidence, they didn't want us to know a lot of stuff that they was doing, because when Mr. Morales cross-examined him, it's going to be something
yeah,
And
different.
and here's the thing, he wasn't up there, so he's going off
yeah.
the
That's yeah,
report that his. So he's
exactly.
going off the report that his people he sent up there.
Yes, he
Okay,
is. Yep.
okay.
How did he? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
You know,
because
he's
I'm listening. I'm like, wait a minute. He keeps
well.
saying
How do
certain
you know?
stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what the report said. I didn't
yeah.
know, but he's trying to make it sound like I was there. These came from this room. Oh, I was right there. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that, and I believe they came here. But I know they came from there. Oh, then I believe they came from. Well, I don't know where they came. I wasn't even up there, so no telling
And
where
they're
the things
create
came from.
and they're creating this whole thing around Laura's room, that garage. They're creating that all around
Yeah,
that to make it seem like she's the victim.
yeah. And you have nothing out there.
Nothing.
You got a green, yellow, different color, a 25 cents
I find it really shocking that
size of a
in his
quarter.
testimony, there was no testimony about none of us and what was going on with children in that home,
He
that he
said
made
no,
a big old beeline to
straight
sit
to
up
her.
there, and Julie sat up there as well. That's how you knew Julie, him, and her was in cahoots, because his testimony was about her.
Mm-hmm.
It
Right.
wasn't about no children
Yeah.
or what was going on with kids in that
And
home. It
and
was
then he
about her.
and the thing about it is he was not convicted of that stuff. So all
Nope.
that stuff was just trash. You
It's
disregard all
all
this crap.
hearsay
And then,
testimony. No
why are
evidence.
you having a case that's about notorious children being abused for over 10 years, for a number of years, but you're focusing in on a quarter size green and yellow spot on a mattress? Come on now. And the rest of this nonsense. This is ridiculous. It's a
So
miscarriage of justice. That's what it is to me.
Mr. Morales is going to cross-examine Sergeant Zerkel. So he says, "Good morning,
Dad's attorney, Moose's attorney.
Moose's attorney."
Oh, that's who's
So
coming
he
up now.
says, "Good, yeah." He
Mm-hmm.
says, "Good morning." He says, "Good morning, sir." He said, "The bedroom, the master bedroom. You said there was a slide door in the master bedroom." He said, "As I can recall." Now, didn't he just say to Julie Baldwin that there was a slide glass door in the room? You
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there. So how would you recall that? So he said, "As I can recall." Do you have any photos of that? He said, "No." Do you have any photos of a chain being on the glass door in the master bedroom? He says, "No."
And whose master bedroom?
In our parents' master bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? Is that reflected in any of your reports? I believe it's reflected in a report from the recovery of items. I did not mention that in one of my reports. No.
Mm.
The answer is no to that question. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Went all
All
the way down
right.
the corner.
Do you have that particular report? He said, "I believe so." Could you take a look at that and see if there's a slide glass door reference there? He says, "Sir, it is incorrect. That report does not mention a slide glass door in the bedroom had a lock on it that you testified to Miss Baldwin." So when you said earlier the chain was from the sliding glass door, are you testifying from memory that it was a sliding glass door, or are you just guessing? You wasn't there. He wasn't there.
And what is the
He said, I'm testifying basically from my memory. Did you take photos of that home? No. Okay, but so how did you get photos? But did you take photos of everything else in the home?
Ding, 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 ding,
As
ding.
far as chains on the backsliding glass door, nail holes, etc., anything that was thought to have secured a door, did you take pictures? He said no. He didn't take any pictures. So you didn't take pictures in the home of any sliding glass doors or windows being locked. No, because when arriving there, there was nothing locked. Didn't you tell Dr. Field that the house was locked with
Yeah,
both locks and chains for
from the
inside out?
outside, and all that
He
stuff.
said inside out.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
said, I had them taken. I did not take the pictures myself. When I say that, I don't mean that you actually were sitting there with a 35 millimeter camera, but you were in charge of the programs there, right? So, were you actually in the house? No, I was not there. What I mean, see, what
Mm,
Hmm.
I
mm, mm.
mean is that I had them taken.
You ain't had them taken. You wasn't even there. You know.
Okay,
Mm.
this is crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And it was your function to allocate and assign jobs to different technicians that you sent there. Is that correct? Correct. All right. And you had information, at least at that point, you had believed that these doors had been secured with chain locks when they weren't. Is that correct? Yes. And you
Mm,
had information
mm.
that you believed that these doors were secured with nails and chains. That's correct. So you had no knowledge or no pictures of these doors being locked or chained. No, I did not. That is correct. And so you tasked someone to go out and photograph each of those doors. Is that a correct statement? Yes. But you were not present. Is that correct? Yes. And now the accommodations in the garage, I believe you testified that it was divided into two separate obvious rooms. Is that correct? Rooms, ding, ding, ding. Anybody hear that?
That's what we've been
He said
saying.
rooms. He said rooms, not garages, like the district attorney and Detective Zerkel is trying to point out.
Hmm.
He said, and he gonna be slick. He gonna get smart. He said, and so you task someone to go out and photograph each of the doors. Is that a correct statement? He says yes. Now the accommodations in the rooms, I believe you testified that it was divided into two separate obvious rooms. Is that correct? And he says yes. I wish I can show this, but he says yes. All right. And I'm assuming that these barrier walls between the two car sections of the so called garage were turned into rooms. Is that correct? Yes. And how tall in feet were these spaces? He said at least 8 feet tall. Is that correct? He says yes. They were probably at least that. They went from floor to ceiling. Was
Hmm.
this a drywall garage or open beam? It was drywalled.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a room.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Okay,
Hmm.
it's
so was it drywall on the ceiling as well? That I don't know. Okay, can you see in the photos, I believe, the photograph of the torsion bar with the padlock on it? Do you know what I'm talking about? The one where the lock appears to be on an overhead section of the door, exhibit 2 hanging there. I'm going to publish this, Your
Hmm.
Honor. And the judge says, of course. Do you see that? He says, yes, I do. Okay, and you've already testified that the item contained right here, just off center to the left of exhibit 2, is what you believe to be a padlock, right? Correct. Correct. And I believe you referred I believe you referenced that padlock as being 28A, or you believe it to be 28A. I believe so. I'm not for sure. I wasn't there. So I'm not for sure.
Uh-oh. Whoa. Who said I'm not sure I wasn't there? Who's saying that?
Sergeant Zerko, he said he believes so.
Okay,
He's not for sure.
finally.
He wasn't
He
there. He
said
said,
he
I
wasn't
believe
there.
so,
I don't know.
according to evidence that was collected, that it's a lock, but I'm not for sure.
But during
Okay, now,
Julie Baldwin's, when she was test, you to question him, he was like he was right there.
yeah. Now,
Mm.
this item that's running right here, this is the actual track to the side of the door, right? Is that correct? So so really it would be more appropriate like this, rotating, right? Correct. Okay. And this was in the two bedroom or the one section area, right? He says yes. I believe that was in the two bedroom section. All right. And do you have a photograph of similar locks in the one bedroom section? Not that I recall. I don't have a picture of none of those locks. Then how did the lock get there? I don't know. I was not present. All right. So you
Oh,
wasn't
boy.
present now. No, I wasn't present. But is it fair? Is it a fair statement to
Mm,
say that
mm,
the
mm.
divided garage that was divided into two automobile entrances, if you will, that they were bedrooms? You can say that if you want to. All right. And they have two separate garage doors. Is that correct? Correct. But you don't have any recollection of the smaller garage door being secured by a lock? No. The other side was a bedroom that the other lady stayed in, and that was not a garage, and it was not
He
secured
said the
with
other
any
lady.
locks. Rick, you know,
Wow.
this is so way out.
Now the
I
other
know,
side's
right?
a
Probably,
bedroom. The
Musa
other
probably
side's the
enjoying
bedroom.
this.
You know, what I can't understand is that if you go into those garages, going into those garages, you get the big one, the first one where Laura was at. Now, you usually, and so if that one was a bedroom, the other one you want to convert the further one to a bedroom. That just seems kind of odd. But the thing
First of
is,
all, let me tell
both
you this. Let me
both
tell
of
you
them were
this.
converted.
It wasn't a three-car garage, okay?
Hmm.
It was two cars because we visited, you forgetting, we visited
Yeah,
the home. What, about 8, 9 months ago?
yeah,
The people
yeah,
that
right.
live there
But you know
now.
what they're saying? One
It's
side,
two.
but one size was larger than the other side. So what they're trying to say is that one side, one of the garages is a little bit larger than the other side.
Those, I'm
The
telling
garage,
you,
the
it
garage doors, you can see the doors because you see some houses with a bigger garage door than a smaller garage door.
we'll have to revisit the
That's why
picture.
they're trying to say a
Because
three
it
door.
was, yeah,
That's I,
it
you know,
was, it
I mean,
was. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, go ahead, yo, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, That's what I'm thinking they're trying to say because of the size. One room was larger than the other room, so one converted room from a garage was smaller. One was larger. And that's why
Mhm.
they're trying to say it's two car garage. So what?
But it wasn't the two-car garage that was actually a garage that was converted in a room. That was not a three-car garage. They keep saying three-car garages, and it wasn't. There
Yeah, it
was
wasn't
only
at all.
two-car garage, and it was turned into a room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian said it was actually a room.
Yep.
It was actually a room, and it the entrance area that they had for Adrian's side and Laura's side. That part right there was sealed off, and that was because so that they can have their own privacy.
That was sealed off.
That was sealed off because when we went up there to visit, it was open back up. You
So
know, the
how did Adrian get into her side?
Adrian had a patio area on the other
And
side.
she had her own entrance. Yeah.
So she would.
If
I
you
know
look
she
at
did it
the
from the
video,
outside.
Hmm.
if you look at the
Hmm.
video that we did 8 months ago when we went up there and people let us visit the house, you'll see for yourself that on that side there was
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
patio area and
yeah.
an actual door, and it had
Right.
two windows. That was an
Yeah.
actual room. He didn't have to do nothing to that side. He didn't have to do anything to that side. He probably went in there, put down new carpet and painted, but he
Right.
didn't do anything to that side. That was not a garage. They keep saying three-car garage. It was two. And that's what the owner kept saying up there. He said it's two cars. Just that one
Okay.
side we was in. Because you could get two cars in there.
Right. Okay.
So he says, I believe that was in the bedroom section. All right. And do you have a photograph of similar locks in the one bedroom section? He said, not that I recall. All right. But is it a fair statement to say that the garage divided into two separate automobile entrances, if you will, a car section and a one car garage? Is that correct? I'm not for sure. All right. and they have two separate garages. Is that correct? Yes. But you don't have any recollection of the smaller garage being actually a garage and that there was a lock in that fashion. He said, to my recollection, no, I don't remember. It was, but you didn't photograph it, did you? He said, I don't recall there being a photograph of it at all taken on that side. All right, but you haven't testified about anything having to do with reference to a lock in the one car garage on the track. Not until now. I've never testified to it because I never saw it, nor do we have pictures of it. Is that it? Does that reflect in any of your reports? Is it reflected in any of your records? No, it's not. No, it's not. That one car garage section that you call a one car garage section was a room. Is that correct? As far as I know, it could have possibly been a room. I don't understand what you're saying. Why do you consistently keep saying that this was a three-car garage? Because this is what Laura Cowan told me.
Finally. Whoa. So when do you start as an investigator taking
She was the
information
investigator.
from I don't know what to even call her, a perpetrator for me. But when you get information from her, and then you doing your own investigation of what did you see. So she was his eyes and everything.
That's right. You got it.
Hmm. I've solved the
Yep.
case of the garage and the the 3-car garage to the 2-room garage. Another one, Sherlock, has solved.
Now he asks him this. Was the two-car garage section secured by a lock? He said, I don't believe so. If you had seen that, would you put that in your report? I should have put it in there, but I don't have it in there because it was not secured with a lock. Now, didn't Laura say that she was locked, chained and locked in there? But then you got
Yep.
Buddy sitting up here saying that he don't have it in his report and he don't believe so because she was very calculated in what to take pictures of and what not to take pictures of what she gave to him because he didn't take any pictures.
Yeah.
He didn't take any pictures.
So his team didn't take no pictures.
They took pictures pretty much of like
That's crazy.
the front door had a chain hanging on the front door, but it wasn't padlocked. They
It
took
wasn't locked.
look,
Mhm.
mind you, we got an evidence list. And the lies that he told on Dr. Phil's show that the whole house was chained and nailed inside out. That got to be a lot of chains, okay?
Yep.
There's only 2 chains in the evidence box. 2.
You talking about I thought 2 Chainz was a rapper. 2 Chainz is up in that.
You a tr-
He's up in that motherfucker.
2 chains.
That's
Now we
crazy.
really getting off.
Oh man.
We digress big time.
Not
2
that
Chainz.
I recall. All
2
right.
Chainz in the house.
Mm-mm.
Oh man, this is way out.
Yeah, but
He said if you had taken that, would you put that in your report? He said I should have. And the Mr. Morales said right, because you're there to examine a false imprisonment case that never happened. Is that correct? Or at least allege of it. Is that correct? He says correct.
Woo.
And in part of the items that we're talking about are all the 28 exhibits A, B, C, D, which are various locks, correct? Yes, I only saw 3 locks and 2 chains. So why are you on the Dr. Phil show and Anderson Cooper 360 lying?
I told you they built it around her. That his whole statement and his testimony and stuff with Julie and stuff. If you pay attention, it's built around that and Laura's lies, and they
You
put
got to
that
tell
out
the
to the
truth
media.
about how this case was tried and what actually happened and what took place. You can't go on TV lying and making up stuff, and victims that actually witnessed this stuff and lived this stuff, saw this stuff, and it's totally different. You can't go out there taking people's pain and suffering, building a case for yourself so that you can make money off of them, so you can be seen on TV as this big old hero.
But you know what's happening there? What you're just saying is that before the movies, before it comes on, it says some scenes would change for dramatic purposes. Well, he should have did the same thing for his testimony. His testimony is changed for dramatic purposes, but don't they call that perjury? I
Yeah.
digress. Okay, I digress. Okay.
Okay. Now these knives that have been referenced, I better put it on the record. Exhibit 23A, B, C, and D, and E. I think that's five knives, right? Those were that were found all in the master bedroom. Is that correct? Yes. All right. Did you examine them closely? Did you open up the blades on the folding blade knives? A. He says, myself, no, he didn't open them up. They were
Mm.
located by being collected by another officer. I don't recall examining any of those blades because it was a collection of knives. All right. Well, in particular, I'm holding up Exhibit 23A. All right. Published on the Elmo. Do you see that? Yes. Okay. And this knife itself, it has tape around it. It looks like a kind of a blade cover. And then there's appears to be a handle. Do you see that? Yes. And it looks like it's a black electrical tape of some kind on there. Is that a fair statement? Yes. And it looks like here in the center section of that. Is that correct? Yes. Exhibits that there's some type of kind of like scotch tape cleared around it. Is that correct? Yes. Is that something you put on there? No. All right. Did you or do you know who put that on there? More than likely it was done by a couple of my officers who actually collected that those items of evidence and booked it into evidence. Okay, I see that on all the items here we have the same type of deal. I'll just take one at a random 23D, put that up on the Elmo. This tape that's around it kind of secures the blade from opening. Is that right? Correct. Okay, and why is that done? That's done for safety purposes for when the items of evidence is packaged for people handling and transporting that evidence so that knife would not advently open and cause injury to someone. And is it fair to say also that by putting the tape on there, you avoid additional contamination to the blade, another person touching or doing something to the blade? It would service that purpose as well. Yes. All right. So I mean, there could be many reasons for it, but in any event, all of these knives that have been introduced into evidence or at least referenced are taped in a similar fashion. Is that correct? Yes, correct. All right. Did you have any technicians examine these knives? No, sir. Why not? Because the knives appeared to be collectible knives, like they weren't
Mm,
touched.
mm, mm. Oh,
Did you have forensics examine these knives for a stab wound that Lord Cowan said she had? Yes. I no, I did not have anyone examine these
what?
knives at all. All right. Now, your function
Oh,
as the investigating officer was to not only see the collection of evidence, but also to build on this case, to work on this case, correct? Correct. All right. And did you ever cause anyone to examine any of these blades? Let's say for blood traces or DNA or anything
God.
along the lines that Miss Cowan was stabbed in the foot. No, the knives were not examined because they did not need to be examined. They were collectible knives.
Mm,
The
mm.
handgun, Exhibit 18, I think you said it was recovered from the master bedroom. As I can recall, it was.
He
That's
wasn't
what
there.
you said.
Yeah, it's
All right.
because
It was a 38 caliber semi-automatic. I don't even know what brand it is. Kind of a Saturday night special job, right?
hold it. An automatic special 38 special is not an
It
automatic.
wasn't.
It's not
It
automatic.
It's
Yeah.
wasn't.
a
I
revolver.
know.
I
Yep.
mean, he's a police officer. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
He says, I believe it was a 380. He said, okay, it was a 380. The ammo is 380. He said, if I could have a moment, Your Honor, of course. I'm not functioning like I used to, putting on glasses. He says, I want to show you Davis and Industry handguns models P380 and 380 caliber, right? He says, correct. Okay, that ammunition that you referenced, likewise, appears to be a 380 caliber. Is that correct? Yes. And these magazines, which have live rounds contained within them, also appear to be 38 caliber. Is that correct? He says yes. And this was found in the master bedroom. He says yes, sir. Was it found in something within the master bedroom? He says, I believe it was found in the closet, locked away in a box.
Mm.
Okay, were all the items together? That I don't recall because you wasn't there. Okay, and was the weapon armed? Was the magazines in the weapon? No, not that I recall. They were placed separately away from the gun. And did you examine the weapon to see if there was a round in the chamber? We did that when we rendered it safe to ensure it wasn't loaded at all. And so what would do Okay, so what one would do on a semi-automatic, the magazine would go into the bottom. I'll hold up exhibit 18. The magazine would go into the bottom of the weapon, correct? Correct. And then in order to chamber around, you would have to pull the slide back. Is that a fair statement? Yes. Okay, and so when an officer picks this gun up, I won't speculate, but if you were to pick it up, the first thing you would do is you would drop the magazine out of the bottom, right? He says correct. And then you would clear the side to make sure there was no rounds inside. Is that correct? Yes. And then you'd see there's the tie wraps on here. This is to secure the weapon for safety purposes. Is that correct? Yes. All right. And so, to the best of your recollection, this weapon was not armed, was it? It was not. It did not have a round in the chamber, nor was the magazine in it. To my recollection, it was not loaded. That's correct. It was safely put away in a box, locked away in a closet. Thank you. When you came to the residence on April 9th of 99, were you met at the front door by anyone, assuming you went to the front door or you went to the house at all? I did go to the front door and I actually met with officers outside the residence initially. I just drove past. Okay,
Wait,
so
wait, wait,
you
wait, 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 wait. Run that. He initially drove past.
he drove past the house.
Now, I don't. What I don't understand is like you come through a gate. It's not like it's out on a regular
In the
street,
street, yeah, exactly.
and it was a dirt road back then. Matter of fact, and I think they paved it since then. But,
Yeah.
but anyway, the way it's situated in that estate, you have to stay. Everything was situated. You don't just drive. I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't. He just drove past. Why? I mean, if you're officer, you come through the gate, then you go and you proceed up to the residence. When you see this residence over here, why would you just drive past and then what? And then
Well,
what?
well, listen to this. We get into the main point.
Okay.
He says, okay, so were you the first responding officer on the scene or did you come in with multiple officers? He said, I was not the first officer on the scene. I came in with several officers way later on down the line and took an outside look at the house when nobody lived there anymore. Okay, and at some point in time, did you speak with Mr. Muhammad? Yes. And what was that like? I spoke with him outside the gate in the Broncos. Mm. Actually, I believe I spoke to him initially. He was seated in the back seat of the patrol car, and then I spoke to him again later in the evening at the Hemet station when I received him. Okay, did you go into the garage and see individuals actually in the garage, locked up, chained, padlocked, and tied up? Tied up. Did you see any civilians in the garage when you got there? No, I did not. Mm-mm-mm.
Because he wasn't up there.
Yep.
He said he went up there later, right?
Yep.
after
Yeah,
nobody was
way
living
He
later.
there.
didn't live
Yeah,
there.
so why did he keep saying that he first met Dad outside when he never showed up there, but then say he met him at the station?
He said that there was nobody locked, tied up in any garage with chains, bound, any of that. If there was anyone present in the garage when I initially arrived several days later, I would have reported it. All right. Were there officers in there? Do you recall? There were officers within the residence, but I don't recall if they were in the garage area. Okay, now the garage is it attached or unattached from the house? It is attached. And so there is a door that would allow you to go straight from the garage, straight in the house, going outside to the bedrooms that Mr. Muhammad remodeled for the two ladies. Is that correct? He says yes. And that door was one of the doors that you said was nailed shut. Is that correct? I don't believe I said that door was nailed shut, nor did I ever discuss that door was nailed shut. You hear that, Rick?
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, but so the door that was referenced, the
Mm.
yellow door, I don't recall what the number was off the top of my head, but I know I have it. But that door appeared to have nails in it. Exhibit 3 is what you testified to. I believe that was the door separating the 1-2 car garage. That was another room. Like that door had been sealed off, but there was no nails in that door, as I can recall. Yes. Okay, so was the 1-car garage section closer to the house? I'm trying to think of the best way to point this. There was one wall that in common that ran all the way through the garage that was adjacent to the house. The 1-car portion of the garage, excuse me, that was actually a room that was depicted. That's the best way that I can depict it. That was further off to the residence, had a door on the side of the house that someone could leave out of. Okay, so the 2-car section was closest to the entrance door to the house. Correct? Correct. Okay, so that door was not secured with bolted locks and nails in the door. No, it was not. It did not have any holes in the door or any nails. The door that gave access to the garage from the interior of the residence, yes, it was open. Detectives took pictures of the door open. Okay, did you locate any padlocks around that door? No, there was no padlocks on that door. And this is the door where Miss Laura Cowing's bedroom was at. Yes, that's correct. Any chains around that door? No, sir. Any padlocks around that door? No, sir. Was Laura Cowing tied up and bound inside the garage? No, sir. Were there children tied up and bound in the garage? No, sir. You said there was carpeting on the floor. Yes, there was. And you said the walls looked like they were freshly painted. Yes, there was. I believe it's in one of the exhibits that I took a picture of. The officers that my team of officers that was up at the home took pictures of the carpet, and they also took pictures of the walls. As I recall, both rooms had sort of like similar colors. And was it secured down to the ground? Yes, it was secured down to the ground. Okay.
Well,
Mm.
well, well.
Did it cover substantially all the concrete on the floor? It covered the entire floor, both sides. Okay, and the walls inside the garage, were they painted? Yes, they were painted. Okay, and were there pictures hanging on the walls? That I don't recall, but I do recall seeing some pictures of pictures hanging up on the wall. The ceiling wall dividing the 1 and 2 car garage was painted yellow and green, as I recall. I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mm.
Mm, and that was it.
Wow.
Well, well, well.
Let me get into this video. I want to play this video right quick
Mhm.
since we
Mhm.
heard all that. Let me play this right quick.
Mm.
I thought I would never see you again.
It's been a long time.
Say thank you.
Thank you. You did this for yourself, dear.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first got to that house?
Oh, gosh.
Overwhelming. I couldn't believe that there were so many people in that home, and so many children. And I had no idea how old they were.
What had you been told to expect? Did you know anything?
All I knew was that I was going to a domestic violence call and that a patrol deputy had the suspect detained and that there were many people to be interviewed. That's all I was told.
Had you ever seen anything like it?
Never. Never.
You had seen some of the children who were actually teens, and you said they looked like young children.
Melena. Okay, that ring that she had on, was that a crescent?
Nation of Islam.
Okay, did she
So,
have that back?
Yeah.
So she's okay. So okay, yeah, because she had that thing.
She lied about being with the Nation of Islam, and she lies about how much she knew about the religion when she was married to a Nation of Islam Muslim man for what, 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
So she knows when she first met him, even in the movie, they depict him as being a Christian, and I don't know why they just didn't depict him as being a Muslim, because that's what he was.
That's what he was. Everybody knows that.
Knew that.
I mean, because we know plenty of people that knew him as, a Muslim from the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like, because he knew everybody in San Bernardino and probably Riverside.
Yeah.
A lot of people. But it's funny because she got that ring on, and then that show, that was Anderson Cooper,
360.
Yeah. And this is sometime after the trial. What's this? After the trial.
This was way before.
Yeah.
Wasn't this before the trial?
No, it was after the trial.
Oh, after.
Yeah.
That's correct. It was after.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, and I'm just saying, at that point after the trial, you wouldn't say you didn't know. I remember one time she said she didn't know too much about Islam.
Yeah, she did say that a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's lying. Come on, you guys. We already know.
Because I had conversations with her about Islam, and she knew quite a bit.
We're just saying, we're just saying how she portrayed to the media as if Dad made her to be a Muslim. So she's trying to, but we all know she's lying. But it's crazy how they set it all up.
And so she probably, and that ring, she came into the house. She had a ring previously before she was with him, probably. Right, Crystal?
With who?
That ring she got.
Had it with who?
With her previous husband.
I wouldn't know. I didn't know her.
Okay. I know. Okay.
I didn't know her then.
I'm just trying to think, how far back do you remember that ring?
I remember it when we met her, and she always wore it. But before, I didn't know her.
Okay. Right. Okay. So So when you first met her, and that was the time when you first met her. She was still with her husband, wasn't she?
I don't know if she was with her husband. I didn't know her whole lifestyle and all that. You gotta remember, I was about 14, 15 years old. I don't remember.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about, she had let's go back. She had the bookstore. She was still running the restaurant, because one of your brothers was working going in the restaurant.
Marcus was working with her, and sometimes Keisha was over there, but rare.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think she had a jealousy for Keisha, and so Keisha stayed home, and he had Marcus with him. That's why Marcus know the bulk of a lot of stuff that she was doing.
Right.
That's
let
why.
Me get to this Dr. Phil clip, because I want to make sure we get through some of these clips.
Right.
Now, joining us is Sergeant Zerkel of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, who was the first person on the scene when the children were finally rescued from this house of torture. Sergeant Zerkel, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I cannot even imagine what you found when you opened that door.
I wasn't prepared for what I found. I knew that I was responding to a domestic violence call. I was a very new investigator at the time. I remember as soon as I walked in the door, immediately to my right, there was the door that went into the garage. There was evidence that that door had been nailed shut from the inside of the home. I remember going into the kitchen and seeing evidence on the cabinets that there had been eye bolts and locks put in the doors and the cabinets so that nobody could get to the food unless they were unlocked. I remember finding chains, padlocks on all the doors.
He
Never
lying
even
his ass off.
testified about a kitchen.
He lying his ass off because he wasn't the first officer on. Dr. Field said he was the
And
first
we
officer
just
on there.
Well, we just read it
we just
in the
read that
transcript.
he said none of
He
that stuff was like
testified
that.
to it.
Yeah.
And
That he sent the task force of investigators up there to take. But they didn't even take pictures. They relied on pictures that she took.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you take pictures?
He went and saw these eye boats and all this stuff. He said that he saw.
He didn't even testify. He did not even testify to a kitchen.
You know. And so I wonder how Dr. Phil got the information to say you were the first responding officer up there. Somebody told him.
Because they probably told him that. They probably told him that.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking when you were on the stage when they said when he introduced Zerkel?
I didn't even look at him. I never looked at him. Yeah. Look at all of our faces. Everybody just watch everybody's faces.
Yeah.
Look at Laura's face shaking her head up and down and smiling and all of that. But look at the rest of our faces.
Yeah, I did. I saw the look on everybody's faces. Like
if you look at everybody's faces,
like they were holding back holding back, on what they really wanted to say, on expose him, just calling him out for just the fake and fraud and lying that he did.
He getting it now. I mean,
Yeah.
Because everybody out there see through this show right here and the transcripts to what he said on Dr. Field, and that was a straight bold-faced lie. He still came back after he testified with those lies and got busted with it. He brought them back to Dr. Field knowing he's lying.
But I'm wondering right now, with speaking about this, is he ever going to tell the truth?
Of course he's not. They not. I'm saying they're not going to admit to nothing. They're not going to admit.
He owe everybody an apology in our family for going up there lying and fabricating stuff and falsely lying on all of us.
No, not the kind of character that he is. Because this is a person that used the power of the badge and intimidation on kids. So that should tell you what kind of coward that he is.
Let me get to this next clip. Let me get to this next one.
It was very obvious that no one from the inside of that home could have gone anywhere outside the home unless they were allowed to do so. I remember seeing on the refrigerator eye bolts where it was chained and padlocked closed. I remember going into the garage. It was a 3-car garage that was divided into 2 separate living areas. No way to get from the garage to the inside of the home. There was a man door, an exterior door that went out to the side yard. That was nailed shut from the outside. On the inside of those living quarters, like I said, made into 2, it was very obvious that people had been there a long time. 1-gallon jugs filled with human urine, plastic bags filled with human feces. And then on the inside of the home, all these children, I had no way of telling how old they were. It wasn't for quite a while that we actually were able to find out what these poor kids had gone through.
Well,
like I said, the first time I ever met him, like I told you guys earlier, the first time I ever met him, it was a month and a half after Musa was arrested. That's when I met him. And I know the minor siblings that they took, they met him like sometime around May of 99. We didn't meet him till like late June, mid-July of 99. And I met him one time. That was it. Never encountered him again till we went on the Dr. Phil show. Never saw. I know because I got notes, and I've already spoke to somebody already, and that was what, Thursday. He was not. He wasn't at the house, and we got the police report.
Yeah.
His name is not.
Somebody from the Hemet Police Department.
You
spoke with somebody this past Thursday from the Hemet Police Department.
Yep, and he was not at the house. Plus, we got the 26-page police report. He was not there.
And the transcripts. Yeah, we just
the
read
only
it.
person all of us spoke to up at that house was that social worker, Todd Blancom. He was the only person we spoke to.
So Todd Blancom, the social worker, he came that day?
No, he came the next day.
The next
So
day, yeah, okay,
we
right.
saw him on the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th.
Right, okay.
We saw
Yeah.
him because he came. Then he did a couple interviews on all of
And
Yeah.
what
us.
kind of resources did they offer you guys, knowing that you had no food, no electricity, and all this stuff? What did
Nothing.
social work up?
Nothing.
Isn't that something?
Nothing.
Yeah.
They just took
All right.
Laura up out of there. I mean, Laura was like ready to go. She had suitcases. That's how
Mm.
you knew. Look, when you're a battered woman, you just don't have the police come, and then all of a sudden you walk out of there with nothing, no money, no clothes on your back, none of that. She walked up out of there with suitcases, stuff
and she had,
already packed.
and she had food still in her refrigerator because I remember that night before they came, or the night
She threw
before,
away a lot of food.
she threw away a
Yeah.
lot of food. And like I said, if my memory serves me correctly, it had to be the night before. But it does make a difference because she had bought so much food that was ridiculous. And then the next day she's throwing away this food, and then now she on top of this. Okay, then I'm gonna pack my suitcases because how they coming? You know?
Let me get to this next. Let me get to this next clip.
Yeah,
Let me get to
yeah.
this next one.
And then on the inside of the home, all these children, I had no way of telling how old they were. It wasn't for quite a while that we actually were able to find out what these poor kids had gone through. Tremendous ordeal. I'd never seen anything like that prior to that day, and I've never seen anything this severe and gruesome since that day.
How did the children react to you when you came in?
They were obviously frightened of me. They didn't know what was going to happen. I got the impression that I wasn't the first police officer that they'd seen. They were very standoffish. I remember some of them refused to speak to me at all. In the home, they were almost militarized. There was almost boys on one side, girls on the other. They didn't speak unless they were spoken to. If I asked them something, I was usually given a one-word answer.
The way he spoke is like we was criminals for not speaking to him.
And here's the thing: he didn't meet y'all at the house. He didn't interrogate the younger siblings because you didn't meet them until they tried to put y'all in that mental facility.
Yeah.
But the younger siblings, he interrogated them, and it wasn't at the house.
No.
And they didn't have any.
It was at the hospital.
Yeah.
They did it to all of us, and he terrorized all of us. His main thing is that he was pissed because, like I said, nobody wanted to testify against their parents. All of us was forced to, though they did do a lot of stuff they did, but a lot of stuff that they're saying that he did concerning Laura, he didn't do, and that's why I was like shocked at. But that's not my case to fight.
Yeah, that's his.
That's his problem because he let that problem, in the house, and he knew she was a problem with coming in the house based off of conversations that you've had with him, and it's
Yeah,
it's just a lot of stuff.
I talked with Musa y'all yesterday, but I'll get into that. That was crazy, but yeah. It's now here's some clips from The Girl in the Garage. I'm going to play 2 clips from there.
Yes. Yeah, we're looking for Laura Cowan. Who are you looking for? Laura Cowan. Listen. Come out here. I need you at the door. Babe, can you identify yourself?
Laura? You going to Laura Cowan?
Miss Cowan, you mind coming outside and talking with us for a second? Hello?
Yeah, I guess that's the gun that was locked up. But they saying that Laura keeps saying that he let her out of the garage, and he had a gun in his hand behind him and stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
So he's supposed to have a gun behind him right there at the
Yeah,
door.
Hmm.
he was supposed to. When the
Yeah.
police got there, she opened the door and they asked for her, and he was
Hmm.
supposed to have a gun
Yeah,
behind.
38. Yeah, because in one scene, when you talking about what they showed, he grabbed a 38 special.
Yeah, yeah, because
Just
actually, what
because.
happened? Like Crystal said that day, she was cooking breakfast. She actually was in the kitchen cooking. She wasn't
Mhm.
locked up or anything, and we discussed that many a time. So
Isn't that something?
I'm gonna play the next scene.
Mother needs you. Hands in the air now. Drop the weapon. Got him? Got him. I got him.
Ahmed? Miriam? Come on, come on.
This is ridiculous.
They got him breaking the lock off of the garage door on the outside.
Yeah, but you notice she's running down the driveway, but all of a sudden when the garage door come up, she's at the garage door, and he got a weapon, and like that was okay. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
But her kids are teenagers.
Yeah, yeah. And at that time, and then how old were they then? Not no teenagers, that's for sure.
Well,
Far from.
no, actually, the one that is shown in that video is Point. That's supposed to be Marcus.
Yeah,
Oh
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
point. That's what I was thinking too.
yeah,
but
that's what's
Marcus
been.
wasn't
But
up
he
at
wasn't
that
up
house
there.
though.
He wasn't at the house, but remember she always said his oldest son, so they had to find some way to put him. Yeah, but he
He
wasn't
wasn't.
living up
He
there.
wasn't there. He had been gone for about 2.5 years.
Yep.
Mhm.
He wasn't there.
I mean, that whole scene is ridiculous. And then she comes back, and everybody got guns drawn. She's standing at the front of the. I'm like, come on, he has a weapon. I'm like, who would even risk that kind of safety stuff? That's well, that's terrible. That's ridiculous. Dramatic purposes, I guess that right there is ridiculous. You got something else for us, Rick? You got some-
Yeah, I do got another one. Chris, I know you say you had some side notes, but I wanted to get out those videos before we, I know they kind of relate to those videos as well.
Yeah, to this test. Yeah, it's one thing.
Yeah,
What the video showing, then what the testimony is totally something
yeah,
totally different. Yeah,
yeah. That was my main thing. I wanted the whole his testimony to be read, then to
right,
show uh, what he actually was saying, after the fact. So
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So going back through the transcripts, like I said, we clarified in the beginning
Hmm.
that he was not present at the home that day when Musa was arrested, April 6th of 99. And he testified to it. Well, he tried to testify like he was there in the presence of those task force investigators that he sent up there. That's why he didn't know a lot, because he wasn't there. And he never witnessed me or our siblings being standoffish because we never spoke to him. This was like way after the fact, like I said, a month and a half, where he
Yeah.
tried to interrogate us. So we was never standoffish when it came to him. None of that, because first of all, none of us was in groups speaking to him, because if you look back at some of our siblings interviews, and then what they told us after this stuff happened, is that they had one of our siblings in a room asking him questions, and then was telling him that we're gonna put your family back together if you tell us what happened. And then going off in another room, like you mentioned that Mike had said,
Yeah.
and well, he got an interview up here. What he said is that the guy was terrorizing them, and that he was coming back and forth in the room pushing them and trying to make them speak. Look, when those minor kids did not want to speak and he kept pushing them to speak, it was time to have an attorney when somebody told you that they weren't going to speak to you. And that was the same thing he did to us. That's why he was trying to keep us locked up under duress at a flea bag motel to keep us there so that way he could come back and question us. You know? And so going back to the Dr. Phil clip that you showed of the human composition where he said it was buckets of urine that was found, there was no buckets of urine. And they don't even state that in the transcripts. That's made up. That's a lie. There was some bottles of urine, supposedly, and the judge stated he was throwing it out for the jury and everybody to disregard it because they don't know what it was. And there was a reason why they was disregarding a lot of things that she was saying is because there was no trace of evidence to even say that, hey, she was using the bathroom. Lord, don't make me get talking, cuz you talking about a bucket? Come on. I'm like, nah. That's just not her. Like our sister said, she's not that. She was too good for things in our house to do. That just was not her.
Oh, I want to play this clip when she was on this show called No One Carries String with Detective Zerkel and Julie Baldwin.
How do you even get out the situation to go and talk to anyone?
I think that Laura suffered from fear of leaving. She had nowhere to go. And almost everywhere where the family lived was rural areas where there was nowhere to run to. So she really never had a chance to get away from him for any period of time, to give herself a chance to leave, to take her children and run.
You're not going anywhere.
These are people that had, no access to their own money. They had no access to food unless they were told they could eat. They had no access to transportation. Where were they going to go, even if they could get out?
This is a person that ate all the time and was never told that she could not eat. She ate before anybody in the house. And there was a lot of us that lived in the house, but she ate before anybody.
Like I said, they keep
everything.
Like I said, they keep merging in what happened to y'all in the home, and they keep saying it's her. Just because she lived in the home, nothing happened to her. And they helped her. And we're reading these transcripts, and it's obvious what they did. They made money off of money off everybody, and they didn't care. Yeah.
They don't add up at all to me.
Yeah, they stole the real victims' hurt and pain and trauma and everything that happened, and then just went off another different direction and tried to say lore, but your records don't even show anything. It's ridiculous. Miscarriage of justice, the whole 9 yards of how they went and they didn't give the resources for the victims, the long-term victims, the documented through physical medical examinations and all different type of scientific evidence and facts about what happened to the children up until today. And then you shut them out from getting the transcripts and getting information for years because you're trying to hold back this narrative, because once that bell is rung from lies that they told, it can't be unrung. And today, during this show, this is another show that unrung, that rang the bell on the lies that was told from the detective, Zerkel, Laura Cowan, Julie Baldwin, their whole interior motives and what they were out for. And they weren't out for the children. The whole system failed them. The children's services, where were they at offering resources? Where was it at? And I'm just saying, just to let a Black family, and this happened, this is a travesty. And this is something that, it's so ridiculous to me because I've seen it, and as a military veteran, I didn't sign up for that. That's so we deal with victory. I mean, enemies. Foreign, domestic, and foreign. And so when we have a whole system that goes against children, we got something that's going on that's really wrong. So we have some really work to do in writing this situation at this point, because it was so many rules and principles and statutes that was violated in this situation. That's just straight. This is ridiculous. So I hope people that are watching that they saw this show today. They don't have any questions about Laura lying and Rick Zerkel lying. This should answer your questions today. And there's many more videos for those that need to get caught up if you need to, because this right here is enough. But all the other videos is all relevant. It doesn't matter the order, because the relevancy is there, and the debunking of the lies that were told about the real victims in this case. That's who the microscope should have been up under, the real victims. So nobody should have any questions out there about Laura's side. Because if you got that question, well, it's time for you to check out of this classroom. You need to go into another classroom, because this is not for you, because you need some help on understanding and love and compassion.
Okay,
and
we're gonna get into
that's one right here, boys.
You going, Rick, next?
You can
This
go.
is funny right here.
We I'm gonna tell y'all, we texting each other. That's why I'm laughing. But
I'm popping off. Go ahead.
No, this has something to do with Musa.
Right. Okay. Oh boy.
He called me yesterday. And he was saying a lot of stuff. And like I was telling Crystal, I really don't pay attention to him, because I'm trying to really get him to come up here so we can talk about Laura. So he got these side stuff he's saying in the background, and I could barely hear him. So I sent it to Crystal, and she knows him, so she was breaking it down, the side stuff he was saying, and she was surprising me. I'm like, he said that? Because I was just like, I didn't want to hear that nonsense.
He said when he first met Laura and they started messing around, she told him to leave mom and marry her. And he said he told her she got to be crazy. Then which we all knew that, because we talked about that on the Dr. Phil show. So we all knew that was going on because we heard it in our home. And then he said Gene Allen, the United States Attorney General, visited our home because Laura brought weapons to our home on Robert Street, which we discussed that she did that. He said she didn't. He didn't tell. He said he didn't. No, I was telling Rick. Didn't I tell you she had guns that she brought to our house? He said she had Chinese weapons, some AKs, and then she went to Kaiser Permanente in Glendora, California, where she had a friend named Pudding, and that she was selling guns to her friends. He said she had issues growing up in high school. He said he know the whole story, conversation that they had, that she told him she cut her foot.
Yeah, well, she did. She was in high school.
Yeah, she cut her foot fighting with somebody. And I recall when he said that reading back in her testimony, she was asked by Mr. Morales, how did she get that cut on her foot? Because they pulled her medical records, and they said that she had that the insurance company, State Farm, because when she fell somewhere on some steps, she filed a claim against State Farm.
In high school?
No.
Oh.
The cut came from high school. She was a lot older.
Oh, okay.
She evidently, she said she fell on a step. His investigators had reports of her falling on a step and cutting her foot supposedly. But this actually happened in high school.
Oh,
and
so
they said
State Farm with State Farm.
Yeah, and they said State Farm was investigating her for lying, that she did not fall on them steps, that the chiropractors and doctors she was seeing said it looked like an old room from like years and years and years ago.
And then she tried to use that 3 times. Yeah,
had 3 different cuts.
She used that again. She used that again against Musa. Yeah, she used that against Musa. Yep.
Yeah, first she tells Musa she got the cut from
Oh
being
boy.
in high school working somewhere. Her and the girl got in a fight and she cut her heel. Then she says that she fell on a step and, you know, at work or something somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then she says he stabbed her in the foot.
Yeah,
And
so that's where that comes from.
we know
Mm-hmm.
that the stab in the foot is a lie because you got a doctor in your family, and we spoke about it
Yeah.
many a times. And he's specialized in the foot. He's a podiatrist,
Yeah.
and he could tell you if you'd have had him in the case testifying, he would have told you that she was lying. They didn't bring no doctors of all this stuff that she alleged that happened to her. They had no doctor on the stand testifying on her behalf. None, no doctor at all.
Yeah. It's
So
ridiculous because if you get stabbed in your foot is like your hand. And because it's like your toes like phalanges and your
Yep.
bones it's so different and it's so intricate and so many bones in the feet, the hands. I know because I was raised by a podiatrist, my uncle. And so if you stab somebody in the foot or a hand, you can have some major damage. I'm like, whew. I'm like, boy, you're gonna see fusion of phalanges and stuff all
Mhm.
messed up, and you know, boy.
and then he said that Marlo, which is Marlon,
Which
he
Marlon?
said
Yeah.
Marlo, they put him on the 5150 hole. It wasn't just Marlon. They put me, Marlon,
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany Shannon, and Keisha on the 5150 hole.
And that's what I
And
was telling him. I was like, no, they did that to all of y'all. Yeah.
and he said they charged him.
And that's the resources they gave you guys.
Yeah.
5150 hole victims.
Yeah. And he said they was giving him a lot of deals. They was giving him 10 years. They was
Mhm,
giving
10
him
years,
4 years.
5.
They was giving him
Mhm.
5 years, but he
Yep.
didn't want to take it because he was
He
telling
wanted
them
to sell out.
that he was not selling out, that he would die going to hell with his eyes wide open first.
Well, that's where he'll be headed. You know.
Look, I
He off
was
the chain.
that stuff
He off
had
the
me just
chain.
laugh. I'm like, what? And then why you didn't take the deal? That's the
Yeah.
thing. You telling me you sitting in there all them years? You must like it.
Well, you
'Cause
know, yeah. A narcissist.
something that get something he gotta like about it, because who would take 10, 5, 6 years?
After he did what 6,
He
7,
did.
8 years at that
Yeah,
point,
about yep. Mhm.
that was pretty much time served. You know, we was thinking like he's gonna take this deal when he didn't take that. But you know, when you're dealing with a covert, overt narcissist, that's how they operate. I'm like, you know, he hasn't. Oh boy,
He
just that
said
whole-
you lived in our house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was saying that. He was going off on you on the phone. I'm like,
He's
yeah,
going
what Hannah
off
do?
on you. He
He was
said
going
Hannah
off.
lived in our house. He said Hannah lived in our house, Rick. He said,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't let him testify, but he lived in our house. He know everything happened. I was like, he lying. He never lived in our house. His brother lived in our house.
Yeah, why did he testify?
And
Yeah.
he know everything that happened.
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
was
he
like,
definitely does.
lying.
Yeah, I'm
He
outside.
said-
Hey, listen, when they came up there, I'm outside.
He was outside.
in a
Yeah.
vehicle.
You was sleeping in it.
Yeah, reclined, knocked
Yeah.
out.
You was homeless. He said you was homeless, and he had to come outside and fix you some sandwiches.
He was saying
No.
some. Yeah, he was.
He
Yeah.
was saying,
He was in some crazy
I was
stuff.
cracking. I was like, this is just too much right here. He said that he bought you a house, a brand new
Mhm.
house, a
Yep.
big old man. He said
Yeah.
I bought him a house, a big old house, a
Yeah.
big old mansion.
You know, he said he
Then
bought
he
me an
bought
apartment too. He said I bought him an
Yeah,
apartment.
no,
I'm
and
like,
he
hold
said
it.
he bought you a motorcycle and an LTD.
And an LTD. It's
Yep.
ridiculous. This cat is something else. I'm like, yeah, he stole my motorcycle, or he said he had it, he was safekeeping it. And then he said, I said, where's my motorcycle? He said, somebody, you won't believe this. They came and took it over the wall. I'm like, they took a motorcycle over the wall?
He said you was a dirty dog, and then he started. He had that
He was-
wicked laugh. He said
Yeah.
Hannah was a dirty dog. He said he was too busy running around chasing butt.
He was wilding out on you yesterday.
He was on one. I was like,
He
what
was.
in the world?
He went on a
First of all,
tangent about you. I had to say, look, I had to push him back to Laura. I said, what about Laura? Because he kept like going off.
Yeah, because first of all, look, I was listening to it because it was low, but I was listening to it on a box. the big, speaker box. And I was like, first of all, Hannah did not have 13 children and a wife for 22 years. He wasn't married. He didn't have not one kid, no obligations at all. And you did. You the one was walking around chasing butt.
You know what it felt like? You know what I felt like? Really, I just thought about it. Analogy is like I felt like Ethan Hawke in Training Day dealing with him these days.
He did
so he saw when he first started talking, he started off lying. Everything he says is a lie. Composing lies. I felt like sometimes you get to the point where you look at now, I feel like a deer in the headlights dealing with this cat. It's ridiculous.
But was you chasing butt?
That was him. That was his thing. I mean, hey, I already told you guys before the show backstage some of the shenanigans that he had going on.
He had a lot of them.
And my whole thing right there, I was practicing, I'm looking out for you to practicing celibacy at the time, personally. That's what I was doing. So what he's talking about doing, that whole situation, no, that was never popping up. He came up, I'm like, it's like I said, it's like Training Day, because I'm coming to Islam, they tell me all this stuff, and then we meet these Shiites and they talk about mutas, temporary wives, and all you can have a wife and just you can say, you go have a verbal contract, and then you can have sex with her, and then you can have another muta and all this other concubines and right hand possessions and all this other kind of boy. They had
that's what Laura was, right?
They had a whole bunch of stuff. I'm looking up this stuff.
Possession.
I'm looking at this crap at the time. Like, let's see. So it was it was a trip during them time. But like I said, I didn't involve myself in all that stuff that they would do. I'm like, whoa, boy, this cat, he had people over, he had women over his house doing prayer and negligees and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, and had everybody else, I guess, sequestered where they couldn't go into the front room when he was doing stuff in the front of the house. It was bizarre because sometimes he cracked the door. I'm coming at me, what's going on? I got somebody. I'm like, man, oh boy. And then the story.
It was just funny because the person that I look at that he should be really suing and fighting, and charges that he should have been fighting, because everything that he did to us, he did, and there's no denying that. And I'm not going to deny it for him, nor am I going to sit and help him out of anything. He's going to have to help himself. He's going to help himself, because if they only realize they got 13 kids, and I'm just like, me and Richard was just talking about this yesterday, that they got 13 kids and we all would have taken care of them. They wouldn't have had to, both of them wouldn't have to worry about anything. They wouldn't have to worry about.
It's what 30 grandkids?
Yeah, about 30, 31 grandkids they got. Yeah. And, they wouldn't have to worry about paying bills, anything. They probably would have been living with one of us,
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to worry about that, because having a bunch of kids like that, they pitch in and they help out. They need to kind of, think about that. If he didn't put this woman before his wife and his family, he wouldn't be where he's at right now. That was the bottom line in my testimony. When I testified, I won't take in those sides. Neither one of their sides. Bottom line, it was all the adults' fault in that house. And it wasn't one person in the house doing all the things that they said that he was doing. He wasn't doing just all of those things. Everybody played a role.
I know yesterday you told me, like, when they came to Virginia in 96, and Laura was telling on y'all, she was calling Dad on the cell phone saying,
consistently,
hey, those kids not praying, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And when Dad got back, he just started punishing everybody, just going crazy.
Yeah. When his brother passed and him and Mom flew to Virginia, she took them to the airport, and immediately she became his eyes. When she came back, she wrote down everything. She was consistently calling him in Virginia. She was consistently calling him. She had a cell phone. We even heard her sometimes in her room, and we in the living room. And we even heard her telling him on us
But
that,
what
oh,
she said, but she said on the stand when we get her testimony that she was, even though Dad was 3,000 miles somewhere else, she still was scared of him, and she was scared of Keisha.
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, right.
You mean he way across the country and you scared of him and you going freely back and
She
forth?
went to the airport and drove them to the airport, and they was gone for more than a.
They was gone for about a
Was
month,
they gone
right?
for a month?
Yeah, they was down here for a month.
As big as she was scared of Keisha, right?
But
Yeah, she
imagine
said she was
this.
scared. Yeah.
Over 200 something pounds.
Julie Baldwin and Zerkel is saying that nobody, and I'm not talking about us, because when they say nobody had food access to any food, transportation, and they couldn't make calls, that was us.
Yeah.
Us kids that was going through that. Laura had a car. She had a cell phone. She had access to food. She could leave the house. She went to the airport and took them to the airport, and then she came back to the house. She could have came back to the house, got her kids, and she could have left. They was boarding the plane 3,000 something miles away.
3,000 miles.
She could have left. She stayed, and he was
It's
gone.
ridiculous.
He was gone
There's
for a
no
whole month.
excuse.
So for them,
3,000 miles away,
yeah.
you can pack your kids up and roll up out of there. But yet still, you're sitting there. You're participating in abuse by you're calling him and setting up these kids to be more abused. What you saw when he get back, because you was down. She was down with it.
But for them to sit up there and say in those clips that nobody had access to no food, they couldn't leave the house, they couldn't call for help, they didn't have their own money. We was kids, we didn't have that. The adults had that.
Yep.
They had that, and
it's like I said, it's proven. It's proven all them. It's
Laura
proven all them
had
transcripts. It's proven in them
Yeah.
transcripts and
Janet
pictures. We have
Masters
pictures.
from Lake Elsinore, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Look at
Yeah,
Lake Elsinore.
last week we did Janie Masters
Yeah.
affidavit and letter to the courts on how she borrowed the lady's car, left her kids with her.
Yeah. Y'all just go back and
You
watch that
left your
video last
kids-
week.
She
Yeah.
left her kids with a complete stranger that she didn't hardly even know, and was gone for 2 days, and you felt comfortable with leaving her with your kids. Yet you gonna go tell, somebody you was scared because your kids was at the house, and then somebody left for a whole month. You could have left. There was plenty of opportunities. I'm looking at some of the viewers of this Girl in the Garage movie. I was cracking up when Rick said it was trash.
Yeah. This one lady kept saying, she said something. I said
Yeah.
that movie's not good. I said it's trash. She said everybody's point of view, all this crazy crap. I was like, yeah, but this is my family. They lived it. I know what's going on. And I said it's trash again. And she said,
Yeah, because
nothing.
it's a it's
Hollywood.
a made for Hollywood
The
movie.
movie- the
That's
movie
what it
was
is.
ter-
I'm
it's a
like, you
terrible
guys
movie.
use some foul stuff that happened to kids and put it, in a movie and made her this fake victim.
Knowing that she is a perpetrator, she is a predator. I guarantee you. People don't know you. You want to deal with it? Go ahead at your own peril, because she is a very, very dangerous.
And you're talking about opportunities. She had. It was no type of like, oh, she could leave whenever she wanted. Our father kicked her out of the house several times in front of all of us, and told her when she threatened she was going to leave. He told her, get out my house, leave, threw her bags out and all of that. Know where she went? She left so she could be up under him.
Even one of the police asked her, why do you keep going
coming
back? I mean, it's
why
ridiculous.
you keep going back? And then you go meet him 2 days, a day after he arrested, right there on Baseline at Vicky's restaurant in San Bernardino.
Yeah, I dropped him off.
The man that liked to chase
and told him he should not be at the time. I told him, said, you shouldn't be going over there meeting her. And she met him and got money from him after he got arrested. But this is this woman that was in a garage, who kept his kids in a garage, who drove his kids in trunks of cars. So anybody out here got any questions? There's no question, because we know the facts. We got the facts right here, Crystal, Rick, and I even seen the stuff. I mean, not the abuse and stuff like that, because it would have been a whole different ball game. But I'm just saying, from going through this whole process and hearing everybody, So now it shouldn't be any ifs, ands, and buts about Laura. If you think Laura is a person, is an advocate and stuff, you could turn right now from the channel. You could turn, because this is not the place for you. This is the only place that people are empathetic for people that have been abused. And that's what this is as they process their trauma. Go ahead, you guys.
Nah, that was good. That was good.
And
I
it's
mean,
not
I just wanted to get it. I just wanted to get those transcripts, and what the detective said and how him and Laura was moving and how they were talking and how they presented this case outside of court and everything, and to show that it's a lie.
Yeah, it is. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie.
And
it's
they
the thing
just
is, if you see the lie, we're gonna call out the lie.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's a lie. It's a lie. And for the detective that sat up there and lied, if you think that you got away, you got to meet your maker one day.
Yeah.
You got to. And you're gonna have to think about if God gonna be pleased with you or not for doing that to a family, and then going on TV, you think this stuff is a joke and lying on people. If it was done to your family, considering us being a black family and you being a white man, if it was vice versa, we did that to you, it'd be a history of hey, this black family did this to me. They did that to me. So I'm just saying, sitting up there on that stage that day, boy, I wanted to lash out, but it was a lot of backstage stuff that they didn't want us to say or do. There was some things that was told to us backstage, and they knew a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah, this guy lied and he violated his oath to protect citizens. Zerkel did. Over and over and over again, wherever you're at, you're lying, and we all know you're lying.
Well, I mean, we know he lied. We looked at the transcripts, and then Rick played the clips and stuff. I mean, that's all he's done is been for her. He ain't been.
And I like what you said, Crystal. He didn't once mention y'all in his testimony, and y'all the victims.
Nor did Julie ask him.
And Julie didn't ask him either,
because he wasn't in the realm of things like that at all. He was a receiving officer at the station that received Musa into custody, and he sent out a task force of investigators to go out and do the work for him. And when they came out, they didn't take pictures. They relied on her pictures. They relied on a letter that she wrote. That's what they did. Then they lied about houses being locked inside out. That's impossible to even do that.
Yeah.
He straight lied about inside out.
The record, 2 Chainz was there with 2 chains and locked up the whole house with 2 chains.
How you gonna tell the DA in your opening testimony that there was a lock on a side glass door, a back glass door? I mean, a chain on the side glass door, a back glass door, a master bedroom door, and a front door. How you gonna tell her that? But then when Mr. Morales cross-examine you, you say you're not for sure or you believe.
I wonder how you put a chain on a slide glass door.
There wasn't. You can't put a chain on the slide glass door. You can't. And this is something that I tried to figure out. But hey, it's in there. You can't do that.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the refrigerator that belonged to us that was padlocked. Laura did not have no refrigerator that was padlocked. You know what the officer said? She had a refrigerator, a double door refrigerator loaded with food.
Loaded.
He said it was loaded with food.
With the best.
And I'm just like, the refrigerator in the house belonging to us, yeah, it had a padlock on it. But we're not going to, well, that's going to be for another show on how it got off.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he didn't even testify to that because he wasn't there.
No.
He just went off and then not just that, they relied on pictures in an investigation like that she took. She's in the house living with all of us, and she got all these abuse reports out on herself of her abusing families. She has an ex that's in federal prison for selling all these crazy guns that he's supposed to be selling and all types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she sits up and she said it's always every time she's caught in a triangle, she doesn't know anything. It's always everybody else's fault. When it came to her first husband, oh, it's his fault. That's why I'm just like, I don't know if this lady got really any friends at all, because you got to look at Tracy Potts sitting up there repeating things that's a lie. That right there, these are transcripts right here. These are transcripts.
Yeah, Tracy Potts reading from
Tracy Potts
articles.
sitting up there with two
That's
pieces of
articles.
paper. She had two pieces of paper stapled together and was flipping them back like this. Sitting up there, I'm like, you lying. And then gonna sit up there and tell. I called the college and I got a right to investigate. I called the college, okay? There was no transcripts passed out in our auditorium. So Tracy Potts needs to stop lying. Talk about and then gonna go to our page and talking about she had the transcripts and passed them out.
Right.
To the audience.
Yeah. She ain't had nothing. That's just like nothing. But see, her and Zerkel is like me right now. Because you see the background back here, the chimney and everything where I'm at, and that's like I'm up in a Wonga right now. I'm at the house. I'm telling a Zerkel lie because this is a fake background as we know it. This is the kind of stuff that they were doing. Him and Tracy Potts. She got transcripts. He was up there. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
They was staging stuff. That's what they was doing. They always do it. Every time you look at them, they staging crap. And then they got this documentary coming out. I'm like, don't put us and our family in no documentary. That fake pain and suffering Laura talking about that she went through is all made up off of us.
Yeah.
It's made up off of all of us.
And some of the Addison 360, I was noticed that she was trying to squeeze out a tear. She was like, let me squeeze.
She was holding his hand under the table.
Hey, watch this.
If you look in the picture, let me say. She real stocky like a quarterback.
Are you sure are you sure she was holding his hand? Look at that picture. Look closely. Something don't seem right about that right there. I'm like,
didn't Musa say they was at a hotel together?
Yeah, he told me on the phone that her the Zerkel was at a hotel. That's what he said, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. He was going in yesterday on a lot of stuff. I couldn't keep up, so he was just talking.
And it's crazy. It makes you wonder because I'm saying when you see his testimony and the stuff that he said, and then it was about her, and all the stuff that happened to her.
Yeah.
So.
But, he was really going at it for her. You're right about that. He was.
He was.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We've been up here for a good about 2 hours.
Yeah, 2:13.
Been going in. Yeah. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Mm-hmm. Like I said, go watch all our other videos to catch up if you want to know more about this story, and also follow us, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next week, and that's right. I'm trying to get Musa again, y'all. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
may see a video up here with Musa. He'll be talking. And audio, of course, no visual, but
oh boy,
yeah. All right, everyone, y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night. Ezekiel 37.